Welcome to my kitchen. Alright, so I know I said I'd bought more seeds, and one of those seeds that I purchased is the sickle-keeled lupin, which is, I think, a higher elevation lupin, but it also is a little bit drought tolerant. And since I'm going to be planting this on the southern side of my house where it's going to be getting drier conditions, I thought I'd give it a go. So one of the things this says you could direct seed these and give them a typical overwinter cold stratification, but since I got these late, I'm going to give scarification a try, and it says they have a pretty short germination period if they are scarified. So, but it didn't give much in the way of recommendations on how to do that scarification. So I'm doing a little bit of an experiment here. This packet comes with about 50 seeds. I'm using just under 30 seeds here. I'm going to save some for the fall to give direct seeding a try. But any case, what I've got here is my control. I don't expect these to do much with the germination window I'm going to be giving them, because these ones I'm just going to pop directly into a pot. But here I've got a piece of sandpaper, and I've also got a pot of water just about to boil. And I'm going to try these two scarification methods. One is physical scarification, which is basically using a rough surface to disrupt the hard seed coat on here, if my camera will focus. Might not get any luck. In any case, they've kind of got a hard outer shell to them. And if you physically disrupt that, they can allow water to penetrate into the seed and help it get that water in to germinate. In natural conditions, just the moist conditions and the time will help break down that seed coat, but scarification is when you apply an artificial process to disrupt that seed coat. The other method I'm going to try is hot water scarification, and a lot of these lupins are kind of adapted to situations where they are periodically burned, and that heat and sometimes the smoke or steam can help disrupt that seed coat. And so the hot water scarification kind of mimics that hot blast of steam or the heat from a fire that would help instigate germination in natural conditions. So I've got about 8 seeds for each of these. We'll just see how it goes. They'll probably each get their own pot, and I'll just count how many how fast and how many germinate over the next few months, and then if we do get success and they grow, I'll probably just separate them into separate pots at that point in time. In any case, I've got this glass here that's going to be the hot water scarification, and it sounds like, yes, my water is boiling, so I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to set this aside for just a minute. They say if you get it too hot, it could kill the seeds. So you want it just under boiling. And normally they say use the same or twice the volume of water as you have seeds, but since I have such a small amount of seeds, it's obviously going to be substantially more than twice the volume. But in any case, what I will do is I'll take my seeds, put them in the cup, and then anyway, it's basically, it's steaming, so it's not quite boiling, but you don't want it super boiling on account of if it's too hot for too long, it can kill the seeds. But basically, I'm just going to take some of this near boiling water, and I'm going to pour it just like maybe an inch or two into this cup so that it covers all of the seeds. Just about like that. I might give it a little bit more so some of that heat can stay and penetrate longer. In any case, basically you leave this for about 12 hours, and the heat helps disrupt the seed coat, and then the soak helps water penetrate in. So there's our hot water scarification. I'll let that sit there all day. And then for the sandpaper, what they kind of recommend you do, here's like a piece of sandpaper. I don't know what grit this is. 100. Basically, I saw something. I'm gonna fold this in half. Okay. I'm gonna transfer my seeds into there. Oops. Here's seed number 8. Gonna squish them down, and then I'm gonna kind of roll it back and forth like that a little bit just to disrupt the seed coat. And when I plant those, I'll plant these. These I'm just gonna soak for the same time as all of these, and then they're all gonna go into pots tomorrow. So we'll keep track of it throughout the season. Okay, a little note on the sandpaper scarification. What I'm looking at right now are the control seeds. These are the ones that I have not scarified. The rolling the sandpaper back and forth thing didn't really work out for me, so I actually did it by hand with each individual seed. And for these seeds, you can tell they have like kind of a top to them, like a little pinch point at the top. You don't want to damage that. That is where, like, I don't remember my seed morphology and botany information, but basically seeds are directional. They have like up spot that has all their nutrients that the baby embryo seed grows out of, and then the rest of the seed is like nutrients that helps feed that little embryo. And so I think like the little embryo is like on that little pointy end, and the rest of the seed is where the nutrients are. So when you sandpaper, you don't want to damage that. In any case, here are the ones that I did by hand, and I'm worried I was a little bit aggressive with them. And as I'm looking at them now, I think I might be missing a seed. Any case, what I did is I would just pinch them and go rub, 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 rub. And hopefully you'll be able to see this, that white spot is where I broke the seed coat. There we go. So that will allow water to get in, but it might have been a little bit aggressive, because in some cases the seed coat kind of cracked and it kind of did a little bit more damage than I was expecting it to. So any case, like that's a little piece of seed coat that broke off, but I avoided the pointy end as much as I could for all of these and just tried to roughen up a section kind of on the edge away from the front just to allow water to get in. So that's what I did for those seeds. And I'll count and make sure, and if I'm missing one, I'll get one out of the packet and make sure we have an even number. All right, here we are. I added just control to this is just tap water, unscarified seeds dropped in. These are the ones where I sandpapered the seed coat, and these are the hot water. And you can already see the hot water, I think, caused some of these to swell up quite substantially already. So in terms of water penetration, hot water works, but we'll see what happens in terms of growth. But I'm gonna let these sit for 12 to 24 hours, and then I'm gonna stick them all in pots. Okay, March 1st, and it's time to see how our Lupine Scarification project went. So let's see, this is the hot water cup right here. And you could see 2 of those seeds swelled up pretty good, but the rest of them look unaffected. This is the sandpaper scarification. Everything swelled up. Some of the seed coats have cracked and are starting to peel off. So yes to water infiltration, but we'll see what happens for growing. And then this is our control. And it also had 2 swell up, but nothing else. So I have my pots here labeled. I just got soil out of that bin right there that I talked about the other day. I filled them up, I wetted them down, and time to start seeding. So I'm just, well, maybe I'll have to pour the water out of here to be able to get the seeds very well. So I'm just gonna push them down into the surface of my finger like so, and pinch it closed. And I'll just do that with all 8 seeds at approximately regular intervals. And it's really started to warm up. It's predicting temperatures in the 60 degrees today, and it already feels like it's about that right now, but it's like not even noon yet. But in any case, we'll see how long these take. And if they don't all come up this season, I'll probably just keep these pots sitting around, like in kind of where my other pots are, and I'll probably just leave them all year and see what happens. Time for the sandpaper seeds. Yeah, you could see how that seed coat's just like peeling right off. We'll see if that creates any issues for them. Yeah. And the next few days, they're not really predicting any rain. It's going to be just sunny, so we'll have to see if any of these require some supplemental water in the next few days. But I think the packet said, you know, with scarification, oops, these should take about 2 weeks to come up potentially, which is pretty fast. So we'll have to see if that's actually the case. But I'll pour that water out over there. Okay, last one. It's nice that it's we're starting this on the beginning of a month. Makes it easy to keep track of the date. In any case, it's a really peaceful day. Don't have too much to say about this process, but maybe we'll do a little update on the other seeds. Now that we're getting to be a few months in. There we go. Some of these can't even see the seed once it's on the same color as the soil. Oops. I keep getting my grubby fingers in the water, and I keep losing track of the seeds. I think that was all of them. I guess I'll test it by pouring the water out of here into there. Because the seeds have been heavy and they've been staying down at the bottom. I think I got all 8 of them in there. Yep, it's looking like it. Yeah, I'm not feeling anything. Okay, so we'll pour that water into there as well. Well, everything's been planted up. Alrighty, today is April 30th. It's actually the same day I spent some time working over there in the morning, but that's not what I'm out here to talk about. I'm out here to talk about the lupine seeds because I was just now belatedly editing some footage of when I did the little scarification experiment with these, and I realized I never did an official closure on that, and thought now would be a good time to give an update because it's almost exactly 2 months since I did the scarification, and tomorrow is May 1st, and May 1st would be exactly 2 months from when these got potted up. So I thought we'd take a look. Here is the sandpaper pot, and there's nothing in there. I've kind of waited and thought something might come up, but so far have not seen anything. I think in other videos I've already shown this lupin had sprouted first. This is in the hot water scarification. This came up probably about 2 weeks ago, and as you can see, it's much further along than the other sprouts in this pot. So far there's 3 sprouts in here, and then just in the last week or so, in the control, let me turn this around so you can actually see the label. Yeah, in the control pot, we had these sprouts pop up pretty recently as well. So 3 out of 8 in the control, 3 out of 8 in the hot water, and 0 out of 8 seeds have sprouted in the sandpaper. So the fact that the hot water did about the same as the control tells me that maybe it didn't have too much of an effect, but at the same time, the fact that this one sprouted considerably earlier, and then all of these other sprouts came up within like a few days of each other, I think the hot water probably softened this one enough to sprout a little bit sooner, and that the rest of these, we just had the right winter conditions to enable them to sprout soon thereafter. So anyway, I think probably I cracked the seed coat too bad, and maybe all the seeds rotted from being overexposed, or maybe they dried out because they didn't have a good seed coat. I don't know, but that's the verdict on the experiment 2 months in.